everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Consultants Saying Things. I'm Chris Lockhart, and I'm here with Whynde Keene. It's good to see you. We are at the SAP Next Gen Enterprise Architecture
Learning Forum.
And we're sort of on the side. There's some sessions going on. It's been really good. But we don't always get to see each other in person. So I thought this would be interesting to have just a quick conversation. All the people that we've been meeting, right, and talking to, and folks from the Chief Architect Network, and business architects, all these different architects. And I think some of them are consultants, but a lot of them are not. They're inside of companies. And so in the conversations I've been having, I was just sort of thinking why does one go into consulting? And I know that we have our own sort of unique stories about it. So I thought, we would just have a quick discussion. Why did you go into consulting?
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you the same thing, Chris.
Yeah,
I want to hear this.
I've got 5 minutes to figure out what my answer is.
Honestly, for me, it was quite accidental. So I'm a biology and chemistry major. I was going to be a veterinarian.
Didn't know that.
I am. I'm all science, and then I have a master's in sustainability.
Wow.
So I was going to be a veterinarian. It was like working on farms, vet offices. Anyway, I find myself out of undergrad, totally lost. I'm not going to be a vet anymore.
Right.
So I was working as a temp for a consulting agency, and it happened. So this is a boutique firm in Chicago.
Okay.
System sort of implementation group.
Interesting. We probably know some people.
And honestly, the leader saw a lot of potential in me.
Oh,
so
that's great.
He made a position for me, which is incredible. Here's this science person who actually knows nothing about any of it.
Right.
My first client was General Electric, so totally thrown into the deep end.
Not your area of expertise.
Not in my area of expertise.
Do you think that was deliberate? Do you think he was like, hey, this is like a learning moment or something? Or
honestly, I think he thought I could rise to the challenge, and those were our clients. They were
awesome.
Some of the smartest people doing amazing work for amazing clients. And I have to say, having this firm, those experts, and GE as my first client really shaped my, I had to up my game.
Right.
I had to have impeccable quality.
Sure.
And so that really, that set my career.
And GE's, maybe less so now, but it was like a large, complex environment, different divisions. You got wind turbines and locomotives and health equipment, and so all that's really complicated, right? All the different lines of business. What was the engagement? Do you remember? Was it delivery assurance or?
Yeah. No, I do remember. And these were the Jack Welch days.
Okay.
And we were focusing on the big medical machines.
Oh, yeah.
Like the CT scanners, the MRIs, and the sales around them. And how do you, this massive software around how do you price it? How do you configure it? Exactly. So.
And probably customer segmentation and
exactly.
Who are you selling this thing to? Is it hospitals? Is it, so anyway, that's awesome. No, and to go from that and then what you've done with it, I would imagine you would say that some things that you do today that are rooted in what you learned kind of on that first engagement.
Undoubtedly. And that CEO of that firm who was really tough, and I learned a lot from him. And my second consulting was for a gentleman named Doug Hackney, who is a real thought leader in the data warehousing business intelligence days. I'm really dating myself.
Wait a second,
here.
You went from General Electric into the data warehousing.
Totally. So, but that was an interesting seed planted that I didn't realize at the time, because Doug Hackney was this, again, unbelievably brilliant, person doing major transformation, but he was this thought leader. And I think that pattern probably permeated my consciousness, and I didn't even realize it. So also a lesson.
I love that. Right?
And how about you, Chris? How did you get in consulting?
I was working grocery retail as what we would now call an enterprise architect. But I didn't call it that at the time. And this company was a big IBM shop, and had all the IBM products. And growing up in New York State, IBM was sort of for me, that was, if I could get into IBM, that was going to be the ultimate, right? And so, over a couple of years of working with folks like Sam Pearson, who was at Transarc Lab in Pittsburgh, and Katie Keene, and all these people at IBM, which had a great talent pool, I believe, right? I start thinking like, I can bring some unique perspective to how these tools get put together, sold, the solutioning of it, right? And then how it gets implemented and how it operates. And so I went to work for them, and a guy named Scott Smith out of actually he was out of Cambridge, so it was like the Lotus Group, right? Yeah, I worked for 123 Lotus 123. No, it was like WebSphere Portal, right? It was like and thinking through like, okay, we've got all these different products and they can all sort of integrate with each other, but like what is the use case for like a portal? Frankly, that was a struggle, right? Obviously they go and they sell all this stuff for millions of dollars, and then you got to go implement it, and it's like, some of these use cases are real thin, right? Like real thin. And that led me to begin to think like, okay, I love what I'm doing here, but like who's involved in the decisioning process, right? I want to be in that room with those people when they're deciding how to implement WebSphere, but whether to implement in WebSphere, right?
Exactly.
Right?
And Chris, so I love the beginnings. What has also kept you in consulting as your career has evolved so much since this time?
When you come up through technology, right? I think like a lot of people think like, oh, you're a technologist, you're a tech head, you're a gearhead or whatever. But my interest has, I have a history degree, right? We've talked about this before. So like my interest, yes, I like the tech. The tech is cool. I enjoy messing around with the tech. But what's interesting to me is the people involved in doing the work and how uniquely they can bring, like, you think of it like a use case, right? A use case should, be a predictable pattern of use for a thing. But I think it really then, you begin to see where things depend on the lens that person has as to how they see that use case for that particular tool. So to me, that's like, it's you're dealing with the people, right? Maybe I'm not good at it, but like, it's like you're dealing with people, and people are so chaotic sometimes, maybe unpredictable, or maybe predictable, right? And so how does all of that work with tooling, with business architecture, with process, all that kind of stuff? That's kept me in it, because it's like a new problem everywhere you go, right?
It's always changing. It's always
changing.
Different. I love it.
People are terrible. No,
I love it.
That's great. Well, listen, this was great. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy.
Thank you.
You've done like 5 podcast recordings today.
Just today.
Today alone. But this is good. And hopefully we should probably find some other folks to chat to.
I think we should. Let's hear about some journeys.
Well, like those YouTube videos where they're just carrying the microphone around.
That's going to be us in like 5 minutes.
That's right. It's going to be man on the street interviews downstairs in the SAP lobby. Awesome. Thank you. Great to see you as always.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Awesome.
Love to learn about your journey, Chris.
This is great.